rejects, and welcome to the video. In this video I'll be showing you all of the secrets of the Grimoires, their mechanics, defenses against corruption and more. You can find the chapters below in the description. This is a remake of my previous video which people felt I could have added more to, and so that is this video. Secrets of the Grimoires Mark II. So what are they? Grimoires are a carryover element from the previous games Vermintide and Vermintide 2. For the uninitiated, they work on a risk-reward system. Players lose health to corruption, which reduces the health pool of the team. The longer you hold the Grimoires, the more corruption yourself and the team acquire. It also minimises your team's capacity to carry ammo and health packs because it takes up a slot needed to normally carry those items. In return for accepting a Grimoire mission, you will receive a small bump of auto dockets at the end of a mission, and you can use them to complete the Sire Melk's Requisitorium contracts, which will reward you with whatever that currency is called, which you can spend in a Requisitorium to get better gear. So, how do they spawn? Well, to make them spawn in a mission, you first have to select the mission which has the sub-requirement to collect them during the course of the mission, like so, as you can see in the Strategium mission selection screen. But they don't spawn in random spots, nor do they spawn in sets. They actually spawn in a series of predetermined locations, each varying from location to location. But once they spawn in that spot, then you know that it's a definite spawning location, as demonstrated by this simple diagram. As you can see, the missions are normally broken up into three sections: the beginning, middle and end, normally separated by a one-way inaccessible drop-down or an airlock. One Grimoire typically spawns at either the start, middle or end sections, and they will normally never spawn two Grimoires in the same section of a mission, nor do they spawn in the start of a mission or the ending of one. So as you can see, there are however many spots there are that they can spawn in, and here are the spawns for round 1, round 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. So you can see how they spawn in relation to a mission layout. So how does corruption work when you hold a Grimoire? As mentioned previously, Grimoires accumulate corruption the longer you hold them. With one Grimoire in possession, you immediately lose 40 health points to corruption, and with a second Grimoire in possession, either yourself or a teammate, you will lose a further 40 HP to corruption. So it's 40 HP loss to corruption per Grimoire, totaling a maximum initial loss of 80 HP to corruption when you hold two Grimoires. The rate is flat across the team and every teammate will suffer. After picking up a Grimoire, yourself and your teammates every 10 seconds will gain additional corruption. It is actually 1.2 corruption per 10 seconds. However, we only really see it as 1 health point lost to corruption. The rate is flat across the entire team. The corruption will accumulate all the way until you have at least 1 hit point worth of health left, with the rest being corrupted and lost to it, which means that holding a Grimoire alone cannot kill you. However, if you get damaged by an enemy whilst on 1 hit point, you will die, because your wounds have been depleted by corruption, which brings me to my next point: wounds. Now, a wound is a section of the health bar. Each space between the whole bar counts as a wound, so when you get downed, a section of that bar is lost to corruption, which means you can only be revived a certain amount of times until your wounds are depleted, and when your wounds are depleted and you run out of hit points, you die. As corruption increases every 10 seconds, as you're losing health, you run the risk of losing a wound, and I will show you the best countermeasures against this later in the video. If you're enjoying this video and you want to see more, including my upcoming Grimoire and scripture location guides, subscribe to see that content in the future. All is not lost on your quest when you carry a Grimoire. You can defend yourself against the corruption, and here's how. Medicae Stations. Using a Medicae Station when carrying a Grimoire will not restore all of your health. It will restore it to the point where you lost it during the initial loss of hit point to corruption, which will also restore the wounds you lost as standard. For example, in this table you can see that your starting health point, for example, is 150, so with one Grimoire your health is reduced to 110, and with two it's reduced to 70. So if you use a Medicae Station during any point in the mission, provided you are carrying 1 or 2 Grimoires, your health will reset to the default loss, if that makes sense. Curios. Some Curios contain a defense against Grimoire corruption. You can find this in the perk section of the Curio. If your current Curio does not contain this perk, you can refine it from the Shrine of the Omnissiah to get the perk you desire. But be aware that perks have a tier rating from 1 to 4, 1 being the bottom tier and 4 being the higher tier, so refine to your heart's content until you get the desired resistance perk. For example, this Curio contains a 10 to 20% reduction against corruption. But what does that mean? We don't know what it means actually, because the Grimoire corruption Curios don't work. This can be validated by a Reddit post from a data miner who verified it from the code that it does not do anything, and I can personally attest it from my personal testing, which I did in preparation for the video. On certain Curios you can also find a general corruption resistance. However, according to the post, it does not actually work either, but it's theorized that it only defends you against the ticking damage over time, but given the tick is 1.2 corruption per 10 seconds, the defense is negligible, so don't bother using them. Instead, focus on equipping other perks such as wound Curios. You can equip Curios which give you additional wounds. This is a good idea because it increases the amount of times you can get downed, get revived and keep on fighting, especially since our wound can be drained via accumulated corruption. It's always good to have the extra wounds to increase your survivability. However, giving extra wounds alone will not increase the amount of health you have. It simply splits your health bar up into more wound sections. And of course, one of the best defenses that actually works against Grimoire corruption is the max hit point Curio. The same applies for Curios when you gain additional max hit points. Since you have more health, you have more left when you pick up a Grimoire, which increases yours and the team's survivability. Spreading the Grimoire corruption, resistance, extra wounds, and additional max HP across your 3 Curio slots will give you the best chance. However, given the Grimoire corruption does not actually work and is negligible at best, then I personally recommend stacking your Curios with the extra HP and extra wound Curio perks, provided that you are of the level which you have 3 Curio slots. Doing this will give you the best chance of surviving the mission successfully with the Grimoires and reaping the benefits of doing so. Additionally, using Ogryns to carry Grimoires is often a good idea since they have a larger health pool compared to the regular Joe, and paired with the additional Grimoire resistance, wounds, and max HP Curios, they are a force to be reckoned with. Somebody mentioned in the comments of my previous videos that certain classes are more prone to accumulating more corruption than the flat rate, but I'm not sure that's true, but I'll do some digging to test and validate the information and show you proof in a future video. And that is the end of the Secrets of the Grimoires Mark II video. I hope you found it more useful than the last one. If you have any comments, corrections, or questions, put them down below and I shall endeavour to respond. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the Morningstar.